It may seem a little bit weird that there is a psychology and sociology section on the MCAT, and you may be wondering, okay, great, like it's here, how is this going to help me in medical school? So in this video, I'm going to cover 5 places you are going to see the Psych and Soc section principles from the MCAT again in medical school. So the first thing that Psych and Soc can help you with is even getting into medical school. So a lot of times students find that Psych and Soc is a more enjoyable thing to study for. Maybe the material itself is like more engaging, and that's why, even if the questions can be difficult. And so you can use Psych and Soc to, 1, help boost your score, because having a high Psych Soc score can help pull your overall score up. 2, by putting in effort to Psych and Soc, you're showing schools that you care about each of your scores. You're not just focused on the sciences, and that's really great, because that helps show schools that you are a well-rounded student, that you're a student who may be culturally competent, that you're a student who cares about socioeconomic factors and has had some exposure. And so you want to use the Psych Soc section as an opportunity to differentiate yourself when you're applying to medical schools and show that you have some of these other characteristics that schools are looking for besides just someone who has really good science grades. The next place you're going to see Psych Soc come up again is actually in your medical school curriculum. So let's start with psychology first. So psychology is something that will show up in really what is considered psychology on the MCAT itself. Can kind of show up in a variety of places. It may show up when you're covering your neurology stuff, because the Psych Soc section of the MCAT does cover things like eyes and vision and hearing, so you'll see it there. It covers things like the stages of childhood development, so you're going to see that when you're doing your pediatric classes. You're going to see that when you're doing your pediatric rotations, and you're also going to see things like just overall psychology principles that are going to show up probably in your psychiatry section. So these principles that are taught to you are things that may recur again and again, and while that's not saying you need to hold them in your long-term memory from when you take the MCAT to when you take them in medical school, just being familiar with them will make it easier when you have to tackle these topics in medical school. A third aspect that you may find beneficial is the sociology. And so sociology is not like covered in a sociology course, at least at my med school, but we do spend a lot of time talking about social determinants of health. And in almost every section we go through, we have a lecture on this. And so being comfortable with some of the sociological principles that are covered in the Psych Soc section of the MCAT will help you out when you get here. And I know for me personally, I've already written a couple papers on like health disparities type things. And so being able to tie it back into sociology is really helpful and just gives you kind of a broader context, and it helps you know even where to get started. So it just points you in the right direction, and you can get more comfortable addressing things outside of just the actual disease a patient has and focusing on, okay, why maybe can they not access something? What socioeconomic principle that I kind of recognize or remember can I start with? And number 4 is along those same lines. In your medical school, you will probably have to take some sort of patient care course where you talk about interacting with patients and things that affect patients. And so some of those things are going to be issues that are covered in the Psych Soc section. So it may be socioeconomic issues and why patients may not be able to afford the 5 medications you've prescribed them and how to overcome that. It may be psychological principles or something that happened to a patient like PTSD and how to manage that with a patient. It can just be understanding something on how to communicate it in a way a patient understands that you could have gotten. And so using the principles in the Psych Soc section will help you a lot in your patient care courses, either directly with like assignments or indirectly with just being able to understand better how the mind works and how to interact with people and especially your patients. And my last kind of reason this is really helpful, number 5, is that while I just talked a lot about some of the things that aren't really tangible, it's just being able to interact with people or understand people. Number 5 is that you will probably have to take a biostats course, or you will have to do some evidence-based medicine activities. And so understanding how to interpret graphs, how to read graphs, even if on a basic level, and that's done a lot in the Psych Soc section, is extremely helpful. Also just knowing the different types of studies, which study is like more of a gold standard versus which study may not be, or which study is kind of going to help you better make a decision for your patient. These things that you can kind of pick up starting with the Psych Soc section of just like understanding different types of studies, how to read a graph. Is this clinically significant, or is this statistically significant, or is it not statistically significant? These will be helpful to you later on. So make sure to put equal amount of effort at least into your psych-soc section and use it as an opportunity to prepare for medical school and also give your brain a break from the science sections and the cars section. All in all, you want to think of this section as an opportunity to improve your medical school candidacy, to improve your chances with the admissions committee, and to ultimately improve your future patient interactions and conversations around patient care in medical school. So hopefully this video helps explain a little bit better why psych and soc will be relevant to you later on down the line. And if you need a little bit of help figuring out how to do this, we actually have a psych and soc strategy course to help walk you through with people who have scored high on this section, how to go through passages, how to answer questions, and how to approach this section, which is different from the other ones, so that you can ultimately succeed on the psych and soc section. And also it will help you as you go down the line in your medical school and ultimately career as a physician.